that automatic feeling followed a curve that slowed over time. So, like in the very beginning, kind of like when you go to the gym for the first time, you have those beginner gains. The same thing happened. People were like young, gung ho, all about it. Everything felt great. But then it slowly followed that curve back down to where it became more and more difficult until they reached where it felt automatic. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Built Not Given. Today's episode is going to be part one of a two-part series, I guess you could say. But today I'm going to be talking about the creation of a habit, the science and the biology behind it, what it takes to how long it takes to get to where that action that you're doing every day becomes automatic. And then next week I'm going to be talking about how easy it is to lose that habit that you just created. And then we're going to kind of do a little bit of like a challenge based on how long it takes to create a habit. But more details on that will come out next week with next week's episode. So without further ado, we'll get into it. And I'm going to challenge you to be open minded here because I have done the research. And truth be told, when I did the research, I was like, "Oh crap, that doesn't sound good." But needless to say, I'm still going to do the episode just because it needs to be get out there. So for the longest time, me and I guess come to find out, so many others thought that a habit took 21 days to become automatic. And the truth is, that's not always true. The where that came from was I got everything here was by Maxwell Maltz. He was a plastic surgeon. He published a book called Psycho Cybernetics in 1960. It's not a scientific study. It was a memoir slash self help book. What had actually happened was that Maltz had noticed patients took roughly 21 days to get used to a new change, a new face after surgery, or adjusting to a missing limb after an amputation. That's an observation about adjusting to appearance slash perception changes, not about forming a new behavior. So how it kind of grew to what it is now, to where it's kind of ingrained in a lot of people's head that it takes 21 days to form a habit, was that self-help writers took that little strip of what he said and it turned it into it, instead of being it took my patients about 21 days to adjust, into it takes 21 days to form a habit. And no one ever tested the claim. No one ever was like, oh, let me check that. It just got repeated over and over again until it became common knowledge. So obviously, Moss was not talking about your actions throughout the day. He was talking about adjusting to a physical change in your body. So that's a little bit different than creating a new behavior. So, with that being said, the study that holds the most weight in my eyes is one that was done in 2009 by a Philippa Lally. I probably butchered that, um, but that was her name. She was a health psychology researcher at the University of College London and published in 2009 in the European Journal of Social Psychology the lab that she had done. So what she did was she took 96% participants and they chose one new habit, whether it was eating a piece of fruit with lunch, drinking a bottle of water with lunch, running for 15 minutes before dinner, whatever. And then they self reported daily for 12 weeks whether they did the behavior and how automatic it felt. The average time to reach automaticity was 66 days, but the range was 18 to 254 days, depending on the person's behavior, complexity of the tasks, things like that. But what I found cool was that missing a single day here or there didn't meaningfully hurt long term habit formation. And the simple behaviors, obviously, those were the ones that came to fruition a whole lot easier. But that automatic feeling followed a curve that slowed over time. So, like in the very beginning, kind of like when you go to the gym for the first time, you have those beginner gains. The same thing happened. People were like young, gung ho, all about it. Everything felt great. But then it slowly followed that curve back down to where it became more and more difficult until they reached where it felt automatic. But this is where my opinion comes in to not necessarily negate the scientific study and not to question the biology of our nature or anything like that, but I do question the range of 18 to 254. What did those people that took them 18 days? Was it just the task they had was easy, or was the people that took 254 days, maybe they had an easy task, they just didn't do it, and it just took a lot longer? Maybe the person that was going to run 15 minutes before dinner took him 18 days to do that, whereas somebody that chose the same task did it in 120 days because they skipped like every other day. So I don't think it's not about willpower, it's just about those mixed steps. And like I mentioned in the study that Lally did, was missing a day didn't kill the habit, but consistency is what moved people towards that 18 number rather than 254. But how can you know that you're on a faster route than the people that took 254 days? I think with that, what you can do comes out of a book called Atomic Habits, habit stacking and environment design. That's how you're going to protect that consistency. There's no shortcut around the biology, but you do have a shortcut around the excuses that cause missed reps. And if you're not sure what habit stacking is, basically, use this as an example. I want to walk up and down my steps 4 times a day. I'm third story apartment. Um, I want to do that 4 times a day for exercise. Well, obviously we've got going down as one, coming up back up as another. So there's two there that I have to do. Habit stacking looks like, oh, as I go down, I'm actually going to turn around and walk right back up and then back down. So instead of it being 1 in the morning and then 1 in the afternoon, it's now 2 in the morning and then 2 in the afternoon. So there's my 4. All I did was just add one more flight of steps or one more 3-story climb to my morning and my afternoon when I was already doing it in the first place. So that's an example of habit stacking. And then environment design is one of the big ones too. So again, we'll use the brushing of the teeth as the same example. Every morning you wake up, you brush your teeth. Then maybe you want to go off to the gym. Maybe that's your first step. Like that's what you want your morning routine to look like. Set your clothes out the night before. Create an environment that you're going to wake up to that motivates you to go to the gym. Because when you wake up at 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, there's not much in the world that's going to motivate you. But what you can do is you can take away factors that could lead to you getting back in bed. Like, oh, I had to get clothes out of the drawer. Nope, my clothes are already laid out, set, ready to go. That's an example of how you can design your environment. But one thing that I did find interesting, which I guess it made sense to me. It makes sense to me now, knowing that the 21 days is something that isn't true, and it just started as a myth. Because whenever I was first doing 75 hard, I remember day 70 or day 27 being the hardest one. Meal prepping became miserable. Like I just didn't want to do it. Nothing inside of me wanted to continue. The 2 workouts a day wasn't bad. The gallon of water wasn't bad. The reading wasn't bad. The only thing that sucked was following the meal plan, because I'd never done that. I just kind of eat whatever I want to eat, which in my 75 hard, I did do that to a certain extent, but I did watch what I put into my body. Obviously, like I planned the amount of food, still ate as much as I always do. But habit stacking is what helped me get that meal planning done. I took something what I did every single day and I just added meal prepping on the back end of it. It's like every day I was doing this, oh, time to prep my meals for the day. Or whatever it was, Sunday, try doing this, time to prep my meals for the week. That was just a way that I stacked that habit. And then after the 75 days, well, that habit was still there. I won't tell you how long it took to lose that habit. That's for next week's episode. But needless to say, habits take a little bit longer than 21 days to form. But how long it takes after that is pretty much up to you. Because if you do it every single day, yes, I believe you can form a habit in that 66 days that Lally found. I think that that's a good mark of where, hey, if you've done the same thing every single day, I believe that you've probably got a good grasp on that habit, that you're pretty much doing it automatically at this point. But say instead of doing it every single day for 66 days, maybe you missed a day here or a day there. And instead of 66, it now takes you 75. And then if you missed even more, then that 66 turns into 100. So consistency has a lot to do with building that habit a little bit faster. And I know Lally said that if you missed a day every now and then, it didn't really hurt that bad. But maybe that's true in that case study, but if you look at all the other case studies, and personal stories of people talking about things, and even my own experience, 66 days is pretty good when it comes to creating a habit. You're good there. If you've done it every day, every single day, day after day, then you've got that habit, and it's pretty automatic. So, not really going to get too much in depth with that. That's just breaking the idea of it being 21 days. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll link the studies for both of these down there in the description, or at least give you directions on where to go to find them. That way, you're not just trusting me blindly. You can go look into it for yourself. But other than that, I will see y'all next week, and I'm excited. So be thinking about what kind of habits you want to create, what kind of habits you want to bring into your life. I I've got one in mind. I'll share it next week, and we'll go from there. We'll build it out together. Have a good week.